Hello everyone, my name is Hisham. I'm the owner of Clemson Aeronautics, where we make the riveting and dimpling tools. Today is the introduction and assembly video for our CARD1 machine. The CARD1 machine is designed for riveting. How do you compare that to the DR-DD2? They just look like each other from the outside. The wall thickness on the tubing for the frame of this machine is 1/4 inch, which is basically twice as thick as a DR-DD2. The tolerance is just perfect on the CARD1, whereas the DR-DD2 is made out of a toggle clamp that they just machine some parts to put on it to hold the die, and it is manual, of course. The CARD1 machine, you put your squeezer on it, whether it's a pneumatic squeezer or the NUMATX squeezer that have the oil over air system, and you can use that to rivet and dimple. Of course, it is designed for riveting, but of course, if it can rivet, it will also dimple with ease. Just a quick note, something I saw a couple of days ago, some folks talking on Vans Air Force about dimpling the fuel tank because the skin is so thick. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that, just took a clip of that post, and one gentleman's answer is to undo the screw about almost 2 turns to be able to get enough pressure from a DR-DD2 to dimple the skin on the tank. Well, this is not going to be the case with the CARD1 machine because it is twice as strong as a DR-DD2, of course, and you'll be able to do that with your squeezer very easily. When you get your CARD1 machine out of the box, it will look just like this, the frame with that front cylinder mounted to it, and it's adjusted already perpendicular on this surface right here. I just got the feet and bolted it in. I didn't see having to do instructions on that. The first part that you want to assemble on this machine is this part right here, which goes on top here. That would accept the adapter that goes on your squeezer. This is the adapter that goes on the squeezer. So this part goes onto the squeezer. It doesn't matter which squeezer it is. And then this goes in here like that. So we want to put that on the machine first. If you notice, there is a small dowel pin here. That should be in there already. If it's not, find it in your bags of screws and so forth, and put it on there and press it all the way. You just have to slide it all the way forward up here, and then there is 2 short socket head cap screws that is going to be screwed in from the front. And you just use the Allen wrench, and that pulls it all the way forward. Then you use the 2 screws, that's a button head, socket head screws. These 2 go from the top those two screws is just for the location. What bears the load really is that dowel pin and these two screws. Combined between those two, there's enough hard steel in there that will probably pick up my pickup truck off the ground. So not to worry about it. Those two screws on top is just for location purposes. After that, you will find these two threaded rods. You will have two nuts on this side and one nut on this side. The two nuts with about 3/4 of an inch thread exposed or so. If not, you make it 3/4 of an inch. And it goes from on the top of the cylinder right here. There is two threaded holes. You just screw that in as far as you can go. Now I screwed it in as far as I could go till it stops, and turn it back about a turn or half a turn or so, where the nut is still not reaching bottom over here. Now the two nuts underneath the spring, I'm gonna tighten those. The important one, we just use a 7/16 wrench, and we'll tighten this nut. It's tight all the way. I'll go tighten the one above it, the second nut as well. So now this is hard locked in place. Now I will remove the nut that's on top. And I'll find my ram, which should be like that. Just make sure that this screw on top here is tight, and that should slide in to place. It could be difficult at times. You might have to push it, and if it is very difficult, just push it back up, like I'm having a hard time right now because the tolerance is very tight. Turn it around 180 degrees and slide it back on. Now you see how easy it went. This is kind of an inside machining thing, but now you can see it's in place and it is free. Put some oil on here. As a matter of fact, you might want to just cover the whole thing with oil and wipe it down every once in a while. Then you take your nuts and you put them on top like so. Leave about 3/4 of an inch, maybe half an inch exposed from the thread on top. Now there is a reason for those nuts, and I'll explain it later. Our machine, we have been sending it out with 3 different pins. You can see the difference on them. This is obviously a riveting pin. Okay, so that's just strictly used for riveting, and it is stainless steel, very hard. And this is the dimpling pin. This is where the dimple dies go in here. This one is a steel pin, and you will notice that it have an angle on it, and that is the angle that you are going to use to rivet the rudder, the trailing edge that is of the rudder, and I believe also the flaps and the ailerons. So instead of using the squeezer, you can use this machine to do that, and it will give you a perfect straight edge. Now to dimple, you're going to take your dimpling pin here that carries your dimple die, and you will screw it into the ram up here all the way till it stops. Sometimes it's a little hard because the thread is pretty tight thread, so you might want to put a little bit of, maybe a little bit of oil on it. But this is all the way up. I'm gonna free it just a little bit. And the nut, you can leave it loose from now. And now it's time to install the dimple die plate on the machine. It's very obvious, and we're going to use just the two, kind of a button head, socket head cap screw, and we're just going to leave it loose. We're not going to make it really tight, okay? We need to check that. It needs to be moving like that, because when we put the dimple die in here, if it's not lined up with the bottom one, this will center itself in this place to line it up. Now, I brought the dimple dies and I put one in the plate, and I wanted to put the second one and I couldn't. There's not enough space. I left that pin long on purpose. If you like, you can cut the end of it if you like, but I do not recommend that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen the nuts up here. That would make the ram go up a little higher. It's that simple. Then the die will go into place. Now I can try it. I don't know if you can see it, but when you push it down, this moved and it centered itself. But anyhow, we'll leave it at that at this point. Now we want to put our squeezer up there. So now it's time to put the squeezer on the CARD1. You put the ram in place, then the adapter plate goes after that. Make sure it's put there correctly. Then the pins. And there you have it. Now, on your ram, there is a flat. You want the flat to be showing out of the adapter plate like so. Then we can just simply put the just a regular riveting die. We'll put that here like so, and we'll take the two dowel pins, we'll put it in there and line it up. Like so. Now the squeezer is installed on the machine, and let's set up this part. This next step, I have to get you a little bit closer to the machine so you would know what I'm doing here. This is just a regular sheet of paper. I folded it in once, and let's fold it one more time. This is about 15 thousandths thick. And this is the distance that I want separation here. So I'm gonna get you a little closer. What I want to do is I want this distance to be about the thickness of 4 sheets of paper. So all I'm gonna have to do is this, then tighten these nuts till they are just touching, and just about another quarter turn or so past touching. And we'll pull the piece of paper, and now, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a gap here between that riveting die and the ram. Might not be able to get it kind of easy to film it with this in 4 sheets, but you can see this goes in between easy, and that is exactly what we want to do. Even a little bit more, it won't hurt. So if I want the gap to be a little bit bigger here, all I have to do is just pull the ram down from the pin in the bottom. You see how it is? I'm gonna turn this nut right here about half a turn, and when you do that, this nut right here is free, so I can tighten it till it has some kind of a friction on it. Now the gap here is a little bit bigger. Now let's talk about the purpose of this. When you pull the trigger on your squeezer, it will push down on the ram. On the way out, the springs will bring it up. You want the ram to stop before the ram of the squeezer is all the way in, so this ram won't hammer the squeezer ram inside to the mechanism of the squeezer. Let me put some air on there. We got some air now. I'm gonna pull the trigger on the squeezer and watch what's gonna happen here. The squeezer ram will come down, then start to push the CARD1 ram. But at the same time, you see this went all the way down. And in the bottom, which you cannot see at this point, they are not touching. Okay, still free. Let me back up the camera, as long as you understand this point. So now it came up and stopped before it hammered the ram inside the squeezer. And that's the whole point. So let's work on the bottom now. So now we want to adjust the pin. I am just gonna pull the trigger and let the squeezer push this ram down. Of course, it's not gonna touch here because there is quite a bit of distance. And I'm gonna unscrew this. And let's switch hands here till it touches. Okay, it touches. Here is the nut. I'm just gonna keep a flat on this nut. And I'm going to mark with it with a blue marker like this to know where it is. And then I'm gonna let it up. I have a mark here. All I have to do is turn it 3/4 of a turn, that's all. So the mark is over on this side. And I'm going to tighten that. And I will get a 3/4 inch wrench. And I am going to tighten this with it. Now it's tight. Now every time I pull the trigger, it will go down even further than it was when it was touching here. That means it will add pressure from the machine itself. So I'm gonna come down slowly again. It's lined up perfect. Try it again. It's perfect. Now I'm holding it into place. I am going to tighten this screw and tighten this screw. Now the machine is ready for dimpling. Let's see if this comes up. Now, this distance that it came up is the pressure that is applied on the. Now, when you put material in here, it will go even more and there will be more pressure. Now we have the machine ready to dimple. Today it is August of 2025 and the list price on the machine is $1,000. The amount of headache that you will save and your shoulder is worth that much. The precision, the perpendicularity of the dies on each other is guaranteed. It's worth the $1,000, but we don't stop here because that is not even the primary function of this machine. This is just the icing on the cake, so to speak. So we will be talking about the riveting in the next video, how to set up for riveting, all the trailing edges with the exception of the elevator. So it's the rudder, flaps, and ailerons, the trailing edge. You get the pin already for free. You don't have to buy the die for it. So you get that for free. So you save yourself, I don't know, 36 or 37, I don't know how much, but close to $40 in price anyway. But more than the money is how beautiful the trailing edges and how straight they are. Watch my rudder video and this is what you expect. Riveting the stiffeners. Every rivet is the same. Every dimple is the same because when you pull the trigger on your squeezer, this ring will come to the same spot every time and stops. So the result is identical every time. At the end, folks, I need to tell you that this is a business. Just like my competitor, I have a business. And everybody that build and make things to support us for building our airplane, the tools, the avionics, and so forth, and of course, Vans. Vans make a beautiful airplane. And they go to a great length with the CNC punches to punch these holes accurately. Utilizing something like this, it's going to give you the accuracy where all the dimples fit right into each other, so when you rivet it, you get the best result. Now, as any other business, there is, it is commercialized, so when you go onto that famous website, forum, and ask questions, I am sure that some of these people that's answering the questions are representatives of products. Some people on the internet are influenced by manufacturers either to say, very good things about the product that they're trying to sell and perhaps hide the good product that's out there so you can buy the other inferior product. It's up to you. This will give you the best quality work and will save you a ton of time. I will be making another video for the riveting portion of this. I hope you enjoyed it, and for those guys that just received their machines, thank you very much for your orders. I hope you enjoyed the gifts that I sent with it. I still
would like to do a video call like I usually do. And when somebody receives their CARD1 machine, I like to do a video call to make sure that everything is okay, maybe tutor them a little bit, tell them a little bit of ins and outs instead of just letting them figure it out on their own. Folks, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.